Welcome to the AK Roundtable. We love having you guys on here every single week. It's a great community where you guys get to connect with people in the industry, people like coaches like Mr. McCann here, and Matt Phillips is on here regularly as well. So he's got some seasoned experience in the industry. So questions and things that you have maybe been working through, or you can get some answers like that here as well. Second is if you guys are looking to ask a question, there is a reactions button at the bottom. It looks like the shape of a heart. Just click it. There's a raise your hand in there. You can just grab that and raise your hand, and we'll get to you as soon as we possibly can. As well, you will find there is a chat bubble. Oh, by the way, in that react button, you can see there's things like send effects and reactions and so on. There's a lot of stuff in there, so there's fun to play in there. Chat bubble allows you to communicate with everyone on, in the group or individually. You can click on people's names to talk to them individually. The network grows because we communicate with each other and work things through that way. Lastly, if you have your name up in the right hand corner and you see, just look at mine for a second. You see my name and then my email address, and it just allows everyone to communicate with each other. So if they're, have questions, you said, hey man, I noticed that guy, he had some awesome answers. I just want to connect with him. Feel free to throw your name change in there. Just go to the participants button at the bottom. It's got the little people. And then right by your name, it'll, on the drop down menu, it says more. And at the bottom, second from the bottom, it says not second from the bottom. It just about sixth one down says rename, so you can just rename yourself to whatever your name is and then your email address so we can connect with you. Cool. So the way we run Wednesdays is typically we start like a sandwich, and we go with really happy stuff at the beginning, then we get into some meat and potatoes, and then we kind of finish off with some good thoughts and questions at the end as well. So first of all, let's just go off with some big wins for the week. I know a few you guys are going to be answering because I already talked to you, so hands up if you guys got a win for the week. Can be personal, can be business. Nathan, let's go, brother.
Oh, you want me to talk? Sorry.
Well, if you got a win.
Yeah, no, I got a couple actually. So I called this property management company about this. They had a for lease sign in their window, and luckily he was the decision maker. So I was like, hey man, your lot really needs to be restriped. And he was like, well, here's the thing, the business is actually being sold. He's like, so I represent the owner. However, my tenant is the guy who's buying the building. So he's like, I have contact with both. So send me a bid and I'll send it to both of them. And they both were like, oh, have him seal coat the lot while he's at it. Sweet. So that's like one of the, that just increased my 27,000 square foot lot. That just increased my net quite a bit. But one thing I wanted to ask a lot of you veterans, should I hold a question till later, Matthias?
Let's hold some questions to the end so we can kind of have some wins throw first.
Well, yeah, I landed two other projects that are right down the street from me, so it's going smooth, man. Getting out of my funk. That's what I say.
I love it. We get into those every once in a while. I've been in one or two myself, and I know sometimes you just feel like, man, I know this stuff and just this and that and whatever the reason is, and then you just make the one phone call or you stop by the right place and you're like, bam, I'm back in the game. So,
yeah, it's like awesome. chips and ice cream for 2 weeks. There you go.
Sweet. Thanks for sharing, Nathan.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Garcia, go for it, my friend.
I traded my motorcycle for an enclosed trailer. So it's when a man grows old, he leaves the childish things, right, or something like that. And I traded that, and I have 6 pavement assessments this week. I've done 2 already. Those 2 out of those 2, they want quotes.
Both of them.
Purchased both of them, and then I got a request for another quote for a true value store. I'm sorry. So two quotes, and then an additional 3rd quote without assessment, just for striping. I am doing my first job on Friday and Saturday. It's restriping a parking lot. And yeah, those are the wins that I have. So thank you
Congratulations.
for all the support that I got in from you guys and Dylan and Judd and everyone here, including you guys have been awesome. I couldn't do it without you guys. It's nice to have these round table, like you want to give up and somebody smack you in the head as I do that. I've been through that before. Get up and get out of the fetal position and keep going. It's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of work. It's worth it, man.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. You know, it's interesting. Just before we move forward, I should have mentioned at the very beginning, Judd is actually out. He's about to travel, so he couldn't make it this evening. But hopefully, what you guys are looking for, either I can at least take some of those questions and answers, but I have some support here, Mr. McCann, and others will be able to help me too. So just so you know where Judd is at the moment. So I'm just covering for him. Awesome. All right, Mr. Jimmy Riley, go for it, brother.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, a big win for me is, I'm just now getting started in asphalt maintenance, just getting everything up and running. And yesterday my Titan Pro Liner 850 came in the mail. Well, it is delivered through, R&L trucking. But I got it, set up and running today and, learning how to work it. And I got some notifications that a bunch of other equipment that I ordered from Asphalt Kingdom, they're being shipped already. So I'm just, eagerly waiting for everything to come in.
Congratulations, my friend. Taking that first step, putting a bit of fire under your butt is one of the first things that I know that really kind of gets you like, okay, this is real.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. All right. Cameron, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good, brother. Good. Go for a share. What do you got for a win?
I got a few good wins. I was a little bit slow last week, so it was a little bit heart-wrenching in a sense. But today I got 4 good calls. I picked up 2 driveway extensions. I picked up a full replacement driveway that is 25,000 square feet residential. So that was awesome. I've had this lady on the hook for like the last 2-3 months, and I've been trying to get her really bad. And I finally got the A-OK to do that. And then we picked up a cotton patch. And the big deal with the driveway extensions and the cotton patch is I just purchased a dump trailer, and I've been trying to like make my money back on that. And this is now going to be my 5th job with that since we've added it in. So that's huge for me.
That's so good. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
The when we start stuff and we move through the process and you do the right things, you just keep. I swear, one of the things that is easiest to do is just give up, sit down and go, man, this isn't working, or this isn't going to happen, or you just get the doubts that pop in. So congrats for fighting through those things, because typically the best things happen when you just do that one more time. You do it another time. It's just so much more rewarding when you go through some of the more difficult things. That's for sure.
Yeah, my business partner is big on that. He's like, just keep in mind, like what we put in is what we're going to get out. And lately it truly has been that. It's this end of the season has been huge for us right now.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Anybody else got some wins? I got a win. So it's interesting. We're just talking about fighting through stuff. Certain things you get going, you're calling people, you're making, you're just working the business, you're trying to help people set up what they need. And that in turn feeds your family and whatever, right? So I had a couple deals that fell through today. I was like, man, that didn't work out. That didn't work out. So I was just doing my calling. I was like, hey, I know this guy was interested. I know this guy was interested. I was making these calls. Nobody's answering the phone. I'm like, man. So I make one more call. I'm like, and it turns into a deal that's like 110 grand. I'm like, keep going, keep going. So don't give up. There's never an end road. It's just when you stop. So cool. That was my share. Anybody else before we move forward? Fantastic. All right. So let's go to a question and answer period here. Anybody has questions about some of the things that went through this last week that we can kind of work on together? Nathan's up. You had the question, I remember.
Hey, what's up, boss? So I had a question for the more like experienced seal coat guys. 'Cause I've only sprayed. I've never like actually done a job under my own company. So removing the curbs, like the wheel stops, what is like a good removal charge? Like what would you charge to take out and reinstall? And then what would what's a good tool? I watched a couple videos and they use pickaxes, but is there any type of like wheelie, like pulley dolly or anything that lifts or anything specialized for removing the wheel stops, the concrete wheel stops?
I think Matt's got an answer for you.
So we'll
Say
stop
skid steer works
if
nice.
you're
Matt's got
if you
bad
don't
connection.
break up. Yeah. Can you hear me?
You're having a real tough time catching
My
through, buddy.
connection, I keep glitching. Yeah.
Yeah, you're glitching heavy.
I'll try to get back on.
Cheers. Paul, you had something to say.
Yeah, skid steer works real nice. Get a nice little bobcat, push the forks together, lift them right up, set them up off where you need. Or get two straps. Get two guys, young guys that are strong. Throw a strap underneath them. You can pick them up and move them right to the side. No, quick.
HR would like a word, Paul.
No. That's why I say get some young guys. You know, strong backs. Yeah.
The other side, Nathan, the best way to do it is to use a skid steer with forks. A lot of the companies that will do the install, they have a small crane on kind of their purpose-built truck. I have seen like kind of custom made dollies to do it. The issue with kind of an off-the-shelf dolly is that it is going to buckle under the weight of those curbs. So if you're going to make one, it basically has to be a similar material as what the forks on a skid steer are going to be. So it can be done. It is backbreaking labor. So it may be worth, depending on how many there are. Like if there's more than 5 to 10, you may just want to hire out somebody who has a skid steer with forks.
Yeah, there's 34.
I would pay the 2 to 3 hour minimum that you're going to get charged for for somebody with a skid steer, or you could look at renting a skid steer if you have that skill. You're going to essentially pay to have them picked up once and then reinstalled. If you're doing a big seal coat though, just make sure that you don't bring that skid steer back onto your sealant too soon. So ideally a wheeled skid steer if you go that route.
Well, and I haven't even pitched that to the client if he wants me to remove it or just see, because it looks like I walked the lot. It looks like whoever did the last seal coat didn't lift them off. They just sealed right up to them. But I hear that's kind of a hokey way of doing it. So, yeah, it's just me. So Dylan, can you shoot me your calendar so I can chat with you? I don't know, tomorrow, whatever, Friday, if you have availability.
What I'll do is I'll just shoot you my personal number. You can just message me on WhatsApp, and we'll just go back and forth through voice memos there if you're cool.
Cool, thank you.
So some of
Hey,
the
Nathan.
stuff I didn't quite understand there was the installation back again. How does that work? Because obviously you got these things out now. You got 2 rods sitting down here. You're trying not to break them because you're not going to hammer the top if they're concrete. So what do you do for that? Is it the Bobcat again?
Yeah, ideally the Bobcat, because you can move them like with hand labor. Like you don't need them to be perfect in terms of how the Bobcat replaces them. Assuming it's asphalt, it's going to be rebar spikes. If it's going into concrete, you'll see leg bolts used most of the time. So the reinstall depends on that. It is very common that you're going to bend or damage the rebar spikes on removal. So it's a good idea to, whether you carry it as a budget or you just write that into your contract that like, you know, rebar spikes that are broken on removal, not a whole lot we can do to control it, are going to be charged out at this rate. You know, usually when you buy, whether it's a rubberized block or a concrete block, they usually sell them as the block and then the hardware as a separate line item. If it's a rebar spike, you're using a sledgehammer to secure. If it's a lag bolt, you're using essentially a ratchet to install that.
Well, an idea that I wanted to run by you, Dylan, because it's just me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's not like I'm gonna be picking those damn things up and hauling them off. But one thing I was thinking of is just making like 4x4 little pegs, raise them up, put the pegs under it. That way it's elevated. I can clean under it, and then use the adhesive for those little sections when I drop them down. And they are on rebar. They're pretty straight. I went and checked them out, so it's not like I have to bend or whatever.
Like everything in this industry, there's a million different ways to do things. If you gave the same project to 15 of us, we'd all come up with different prices and
Yeah.
different methodology to do it. Um, I'm of the opinion that, you should just do things the easiest way possible. And like for what doing that manually is going to do to your back, I would say to the customer, we can pay to come in, lift them and replace them, charge them for 4 to 6 hours of skid steer use, and just mark that up. It's probably, you're in the Houston area, so it's probably a pretty reasonable rate, probably somewhere around $150 to $200 an hour. That way you just don't have to worry about it. And if they're like, no, that's too expensive, then just carry a little bit of a budget for cutting around the curb blocks. It may not be the way that you want to do it, but don't do extra work if you're not getting paid for it.
Right. That's what I was going to talk to you about, like charge wise. Like I wouldn't even know. I know you charge a removal and an installation fee, but that's not in the keys to the kingdom.
True. But that's where I go. Okay, you call a guy who's an operator who has a skid steer. He's going to charge you a minimum mobilization because he's going to be able to lift a block every minute or two. So it's not going to take him a long time to do. He's going to have 2 mobilizations. He's probably going to know exactly how long it takes to do it because he's done it before. If you need to price in doing the cutting around of each of the curb blocks, it's probably 5 minutes of time to cut in around a curb block. On 30 blocks, it's an extra 2 or 3 hours of labor. Cool.
Thank you.
All right. Luke, you're up, my friend.
Hey, how's it going? Do you guys hear me?
You betcha.
Alrighty. I had a question for anyone that has their contractor license, because I know some states don't require a contractor license, some states do. So I was gonna see if anyone had any feedback when it comes to obtaining contractor license in a certain state. What was the obviously if you go on the contractor board, it gives you the rundown. But I'm just curious to see what your guys's approach was to it.
So if you give some background information, like you're in the state of Nevada. Right?
Yeah.
So it's hard getting a license there unless you've got X amount of experience in the industry, right?
Yeah, so like California, where I came from, their requirements are a little different. So if you've been self-employed for X amount of time. So my thought process was, being so I've been self-employed for so long, get the contractor license in California to jump over to Nevada. I'm just trying to see what the right approach is, because Nevada doesn't see or recognize self-employment. They are looking for like that actual work experience. Obviously you can hire somebody with that experience, but I don't know, there's got to be a better way or a different route. Maybe someone can help steer in the right direction.
Anybody?
So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So I'm in Utah. I've got one of my vendors who's a actual paving contractor, is getting his accreditation for a Nevada contractor's license, and I signed as a qualifier for him with my license here in Utah. And so what I would recommend that you try to find a contractor or somebody that you can be underneath and try to negotiate something out with him. Don't do a percentage or anything. Just say, look, I'll pay for your re-up licensing next year. Cause I think Nevada's 2 years, every 2 years, they have to retest and requalify. And so it might be, 500, $800 or something. I'm not sure, but that's what I would offer. I wouldn't offer a monthly like that. And
Okay.
just try to get them to be your contractor of record, and then work through the process of getting you, a license. I can't remember if Nevada breaks up to where you can just get like a qualifier for asphalt maintenance or for concrete. So for like in Utah here, I have 3 designators. I have concrete, asphalt, and painting, instead of being a full general contractor course or class. So anyway, that would be my recommendation. I know he's having me write a qualifier which he submits to say, hey, I've got qualifications, I'm just trying to get a Nevada license.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps or not, but
I'll just add on that quickly, kind of what Matt's talking about. And I've seen this done in California as well as Florida, but working with somebody who is licensed and basically piggybacking off their license, there's usually a fee that they charge you for it, but that's always an option in Nevada where it's relatively strict. That would probably be your easiest path forward, but something to look into.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you.
question. Good question. All right, cool. Anybody else got a question they want to throw out? I know there's lots of people that are not on camera too, so if you guys have questions, throw them out there. Well, we're all getting the courage to do so. What is everybody here working as long as they possibly can this season? I mean, I know there's not everybody here on the screen is in the northern parts of the country, but I'm sure there are still some that are working in the north and trying to. So Paul, you're one of those guys in the north. What are you doing for, as your season sort of, as the temperatures start to drop, what are you doing for your business?
I'm trying to clean up my calendar before I go on vacation. Honestly, it's just been nonstop. It works. I have been blessed by having one of the young men, Jay. Hopefully everybody will get a chance to meet him. Jay Mathis. He is incommunicado right now with his family on vacation, but beautiful young man. We just collaborated. He called me because he got a phone call and was like, hey, I got another 34,000 square foot. I don't do asphalt. So, can you do me a solid? So it's just been a beautiful relationship, working within Asphalt Kingdom and all the beautiful people across the network. The bags under my eyes are real. The sleepless days I ran from, and Jay will tell you, I put in 6 hours worth of driving today. I went from one end of Maryland to the other end of Maryland. 6.5 hours worth of driving today, just doing assessments, trying to get these people that are now seeing that it's the end. And we actually did something that was really neat. The paving clock, the clock that we have on our dashboard every time we clock in, that says, hey, we have 78 days. Well, I actually took a form of that and I put it on my website on there. Now mine's about 5 days faster than Asphalt Kingdom's though. And it even counts down the hours, to build that urgency with these people. Like, look, this is where we're at. I don't have any more days in November. I'm packed out the rest of these 3 weeks. Some of it I'm going to have to start passing off or telling them I'll get to you next year. I don't really understand. At some point we're going to have to buy more trucks and I'm going to have to get another crew out there. But gosh, it's beautiful to have these problems. That's all I can say. Thank you guys so much.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, no doubt. But hey, if you know how to run a skid steer, brother, 100%, I would say run a skid steer. I use Carter Machinery when I do mine. They rent it to me for $450 for the day. I buy my own diesel and put it in there. But
yeah, I was looking into it. I mean, I just needed options and ideas from the community, perspective. I do know how to run a skid steer, but like I said, it's just me. So forking it, lifting it, like I would be doing everything. So I think the easiest route is probably just to hire it out and add it to my bill.
Yeah, sounds like
Hey,
we're all having good problems.
Yeah,
hey,
it's good problems to have.
hey, Nathan. Did you say that you could tell that it had already sealed up against the curbs prior by previous seal coaters?
It does look like that. Like I went and looked at it today because they just called me this morning about seal coating. So I was like, let me make sure there's like no crack filling and walk the lot real quick. So I went over there. I would say the lot's maybe 10 years old. Uh, the rebar sticking out is like, you know, half an inch sticking out and it looks straight, real straight. So, but I mean, I noticed like kind of like a buildup along the edges of it, which makes me think they just brushed it in. You know,
Right.
didn't lift it. And you know, I'm building this with integrity. I don't want to take shortcuts. I don't want to, you know, you're supposed to seal the lot, not just seal the parts that are easy to do. So it's like, I kind of want to do it right. But I'm going to get with the client tomorrow and be like, hey, do you want it this way? Because this is the
Yeah.
price, or I could do it and, you know, get it all the way handled properly. So it's a cross to bear, but like I said, the guy was like very much like, yeah, I want you to stripe it. Yeah, I want you to seal it. Call me with the prices. So
Well, in all the years I've been doing it, every time I give that option to remove the bumpers, it's like 99% or no.
yeah.
The only time we do is if the bumpers are broken and we're replacing them, and we may not be able to get the same style of bumper. So the same, you know, there's some concrete bumpers that are on 3 pedestals, and there's some that are flat bottoms and different shapes. And some, and you know, or changing the bumpers out to rubber blocks, rubber bumpers. So it
Well,
just,
with this
that's what I
being
would check.
with this being a property that's up in negotiations for being bought, the client who's buying it is one of the tenants. The real
Right.
estate agent's the person I've been going through, and he's put me in touch with the current owner, and the owner and tenant both agree they want to get it done. So I'm just going to throw the option out there. Hey, I could do it this way. It's going to cost X amount, or I could just go around it and brush it up real nice, you know, lay it thick up into the edging and see what.
Well, I mean, we do thousands of square feet, and you know, with bumper blocks. So you get your brush, even if we spray, we still squeegee up against the blocks and come out, so we're not getting overspray on the blocks. And then I've also cut squeegees down, just depending if there's a clearance issue behind, whether it's 6 inches or 8 inches or 22 inches. So I'll cut a brush down to fit right behind there. And then you just put I mean, if you're single operator, you know, it's a good way to learn how to cut in and make good edges and doing that way. And then, you know, spray, get a brush length away, or depending on how confident you are in spraying, and just you know, spray up to your brush.
It's a nice separation from the actual walkway curb to the wheel stop is a good 18 to 20 inches. So it's like I have room. I actually have a short brush that's, I think it's only like 14 inches wide for
Yeah.
going behind curb walls. So yeah, I mean, it's just I want to make sure I do it right. So yeah, I mainly asked the question just so I have the numbers to go to the client with and be like, if you want to do it this way, it's this. If you want to do it this way, it's this. So
Yeah. I mean, it's always an option to put out there. But it is, I mean, like I said, of 9, I've only had one customer that I could remember saying, hey, can you remove the bumpers and seal underneath it? And
yeah,
then once you pull a bumper out, you'll see that the asphalt still looks new, other than just sand and dirt. Once you clean it, it still looks new because it's not getting oxidized by the sun. It's not getting rained on and weather. So the asphalt underneath that cement has been protected from that cement block sitting on it. So it's not like the asphalt's gonna fell underneath those blocks. So that's just something to think of too. But yeah, cosmetically, it does make it a good choice. So anyway,
Cool. Thank you, Matt.
you bet.
Awesome. Cameron, you had your hand up and you decided not to ask.
I was more so just going to piggyback off Matt. I mean, I'm a little bit newer, so I don't have a ton of parking lots under my belt, but any parking lot that we've done, I always throw it out there. Like you said, in quotations, you want to do it the right way. But at the end of the day, 9 times out of people, like other companies aren't doing it. That's the only reason why we throw it out there, because it adds a little bit more value to your actual proposal. Like when you offer that out, it shows that you care more about than the next guy. Okay. So it adds more value. But like Matt said, even when we offer it, people are like, oh, we don't care. Like it doesn't make a difference to us. But every once in a while, you do get that one person that cares, and you can go rent like a dingo. I know you're solo, so it's a little bit different, but like I have 5 guys. So like if it's 5 parking spots under, we'll lift them up. If it's anything over, I'll charge them. My minimum is 550, and I'll rent a dingo with forks, and we'll just lift them up, put them to the side, and then put them back. Because that dingo is only 379 for the whole day for me. So it's worth it at the end of the day.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I figure, like I said, I just wanted to be able to show numbers and not be like, well, I could remove the, and just be like, duh. Like, I'd rather have, okay, this is what it's going to cost if we go that route. If not, it's this. So, and yeah, I would see it pretty much unnecessary unless they were broken or whatever. But they're pretty good health wise wheel stops. I mean, there's no cracks on them. Like I said, I think the lot was probably repaved maybe 8 to 10 years ago. So I mean, it's still in good shape.
I would just really voice like on that quote, you're not responsible for any damage, because they can look amazing. Like if there's the slightest bit of damage like underneath or in between that you don't see like to the human eye, and it breaks, you're screwed, because like everyone else said, bumper stops A are hard to get across the board, finding the exact one, and B getting it in a timely manner where they're without them, and then you're causing more disruption to their daily operation.
Sweet. Good advice. I wanted to mention something before I go too far, before I forget as well. Judd asked me to mention the retreat again. It is from December 1st to the 6th of this year. I think there's still 3 or 4 spots left. I'm going to throw in a video for this too, because this video is pretty sweet. If you watch through it, you'll know what I mean. It's really cool. Basically, you'll see people that have been there last year and just talking about what their experience was and what it did for the business. So check that out, you guys' own free time. But I wanted to make sure I mentioned the retreat to you before I did end up forgetting, because I know that's going to happen. Awesome. Okay, cool. Nice to see you, Nick. How you doing? Good deal. All right. I know we're in the middle of question and answer period. Anybody else have anything that they want to ask about that they're not sure about, or if they're questioning something, maybe it's pricing or how to or what to use? Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, I was just curious on everyone's last day. Like for me, my distributor, they're done actually the end of this month, October 28th. So I'm running a few totes that I'm gonna run a little bit later, but not too much further.
Where are you located, brother?
I'm in Delaware.
Delaware. Okay. Temperature today was what? I mean, I'm at 64 here right now. I'm still good, but what about you?
Yeah, I'm about the
Cameras.
same, but
Are you
I'm
getting
just
you getting it out of Wilmington?
so Georgetown and Wilmington. It depends on where my projects are at. But
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I know both of those plants out there. Yeah. When I'm in Southern Maryland, that's where I run. I run to Wilmington real quick to get it. Are they really closing in the end of October?
so yeah, I mean I'm in very well with, I don't know where you pick up. I'm assuming it's Naira or Sealmaster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sailmaster.
So I'm in well with Naira, and even Sealmaster. Sealmaster, they're even worse because, well, you're different because you're in Maryland. I use coal tar, but they're getting their last shipment the end of this month, and that subdivision is broken up between all 3 states. And since you can only use it in Delaware for the coal tar, technically, they are getting their last shipment and that's all they're going to get. They're not going to allow anyone else. As for Naira, they're getting their last shipment October, I believe, 28th. And after that, that's it. It's just 3,000 gallons. And when there's a bunch of million companies trying to fight for those last few gallons, you're screwed. So that's why I'm going to be buying about 2,500 and putting them in totes.
You can always get a nice LP mix from the Cockeysville Seal Master up here. If you get hard up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, because like I'm not trying to fight it too close as well, because like a lot of my projects, even with FSA or like any of the quick additives, a lot of my projects are taking a long time to dry. And unfortunately, I hate to admit it, I recently had to paint a garage door because there was a pop-up shower and I couldn't do anything about it. So I had to paint the garage.
Yeah. No, I get it.
That's the worst.
Shoot, man. No, we're done. Like I said, we're done November. I'm cleaning up all my books and everything emptied and cleaned out by middle of November, probably. Yeah, we're probably about in the same boat.
Yeah, my last day last year was November 4th, and I was looking at like the weather, and last year was even better. Like I could have ran a little bit further. But my problem this year is like I'm not trying to be greedy, but I have a lot of companies. Like I'm still busy on my own, but I have a lot of companies that are passing me work. Like I'm doing 3 parking lots that are from other big companies that are being middlemaned on top of that. Like I'm the third one down and I'm getting projects.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you guys getting
Piggyback
any,
on some of them Alan Myers jobs down there, man?
are you guys getting any projects that include pothole repair and stuff like that for this fall or no? Like anybody planning on extending their season with pothole repair once these mills or these plants shut down?
Hey,
That's what
Matthias.
all ours is.
Hey, Matthias, can I just throw out to Cameron and to anybody else that's trying to prolong their season and working in, just make sure your contracts are October 1st, that your guarantees, your guarantees on your work, at least for me, I put October 1st, I have no warranties. I guarantee my work is professionalism, but I don't warranty the product, because once we start getting nighttime temperatures, you don't know, there's not a guarantee. So, I mean, I think it's probably the same for everybody else. As soon as the leaves start falling, people start calling and saying, "Oh, I need my driveway done. I need, we need our parking lot done." and we're like, "Yeah, we sent that bid to you back in April or May. And we've been following up with you. And now that now that you had to scrape your windows, you want your lot sealed. So just remember to make sure you have some verbiage in there. Like for me, and right now for me, I had 4,500 gallons delivered to my bulk take Friday, and I've got another 4,500 gallons coming this Friday. And then my plant, the plant that I get my materials, shutting down. So they shut down on the 15th. So then, but yeah, you want to just make sure you have enough to finish through, but you don't want to have any sitting in your garage over the winter. But so that doesn't help any. But I just think that if you can work it and make sure you're protecting yourself, and then there's really nothing wrong with setting up your springtime calendar by those that are, you're just like, "Hey, I cannot, we physically can't get to you. It's gonna, snow's in the forecast," or whatever the case. But we'd love to take care of you the first of spring. We'll put you on your calendar. We'll put you the first one on the calendar, and get you taken care of as soon as weather permits. And then you're prioritizing your business for them, and it just is a warm and fuzzy for them. And then you're right out the gate, you got work lined up. So anyway, that would be my recommendation on that.
That was leading into my next part, was what are you guys doing for springtime work? Because nobody's just going to sit on their hands and go on vacation for 4 months. You're going to try and figure out how you're going to line up your schedule for this coming spring. And anybody that didn't get in on or decided not to go with the fall time seal coating, said, "Hey, I'm going to do this in the spring." How do you make them feel special? Matt threw a great one out there right there, saying, "Hey, I'm going to put you first on the schedule as soon as weather clears off. You'll be my first guy." It can be 10 first guys, but they're all in the first guy. I'm just saying, like, make sure that customer knows that they're important. They're very important to you, and you got to prioritize them, take care of them the right way instead of, you know, rushing it this fall potentially, or what have you. If that makes sense. But anybody building their pipeline for this coming spring already? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm not trying to talk the entire time, but kind of what piggybacking off Matt said, we've been telling like that's what we've been telling people. We're like, hey, like we can't get this done realistically, but what we're gonna do for you is we're gonna crack fill your lot now, and then we'll just take a deposit for next year because like I've really been trying to take I don't normally do deposits to tell you the truth unless it's a commercial lot and it's like a lot of money, but I've been doing deposits going into the next year. That way I have them locked in because I mean, to tell you the truth, like it's pretty competitive around here for the most part. So there's a lot of guys that are trying to like chime in. And if we have that deposit, they're locked in for the next year and we can get them taken care of.
Yeah, deposits do tie you in. They tie you down to the whoever you're dealing with. Oh, it's like my deal's done. It's also a mental thing. I don't have to worry about having to mess around in the spring and find a guy that's not going to answer his phone. I got a guy who's already looking after me. That's smart. Go for it, Ben.
So Cameron, when you take deposits, right, and prices go up, what do you do?
So, I mean, for the most part, to tell you the truth, the price is around the same. We know our profit margins. Like I have a lot of different apps that I work with and like I have my numbers down to a T for the most part. And even with last year, like my price only went up, I think 6 cents because I do my pricing a lot different. Typically people do their prices like one set point and like that's what they go based off square footage wise, unless it's like specialty items. But me, I don't necessarily do that. So I run like my seal coat price, my crack repair price, I have a project fees price and a labor price. But although it seems like a lot, I break that all down and I try and explain that value to the customer that like, hey, this is what you're getting, what you're paying for. That way it's not like one big price where they see it and they're like, oh shoot, like I'm not doing that.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Good question. Kingsley, we don't see you, but we see your hand up.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Hey, yes. Hi, good evening, all. My question goes to Cameron. I think you just mentioned something now as regards to you said you use different apps for pricing. So I don't know if you can share that information and if anybody can have an information of any app that can help us, you know, in terms of quoting and you know, helping us to simplify the pricing to customers. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Kingsley, if you reach out to Cameron's email address there, he's got a great email address showing on his screen there. I have a feeling he might respond in according to what you were looking
if
for.
you want, shoot me an email or I'll put my number in the chat. But I'd be happy to help you. I can show you, like I said, like all my stuff, like with my numbers, it allows it all to go. Like, so I know my driveway per average. I know like my average cost, like everything across the board. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text. I'll put it in there.
Kingsley,
Thank you, buddy.
I know Cameron's gonna ask, but before you have that call, make sure you know what your material costs are, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dylan.
Good call. Knowing your costs is one of the biggest things. It's interesting. Somebody will like, oh, how much should I charge for this? How much should I charge for that? It doesn't matter because it depends on job size. It depends on how much your costs for every single bit of the product you're putting into this project. What's the size? How long is it going to take? There's so much to that answer. It's so loaded. It's like shotgun full of like monkeys and carrots and everything's coming out the other end. You're like, I don't know how to make that make sense. So if you ask the right questions and you get your costs in line, you can definitely get a good answer at the other end of it.
Hey, and Matthias, in addition to that, you may have a higher cost but a lower profit margin. So that is you can be charging $1 a square and making 10%, or you could be at 50 cents a square and making 40%. So I mean, you have to just know your numbers, and I like how Cameron has that broken down because most every competitor that I bid against, their quote is either on a napkin or on a Microsoft Word print off sheet that says seal coat $1,500, where mine is seal coat, area preparation, 3 cents a square foot. And then I have crack seal, 65 cents a linear foot, and then I have seal coat 28 cents a square foot or whatever the case may be, but it's broken down. And so most consumers, most people like that broken down. Now, granted, there are some that are just like, tell me the number, I want to know the number, but they too can see that bottom line number, but they have that breakout. And so you're able to make a better sell. And I don't see Dylan on here for AK Dash. And so if you don't have a system in place, AK Dash, I've investigated, I've looked at it. If you don't have a system in place, that's a system that Judd and his team have been working on for years, and it is better than having just an Excel spreadsheet trying to figure out shit. So you just that tells you days of your calendar, your pricing and everything. If you get it set up and grow your business, you have a tool that will help grow with your business. So anyway, that's a shameless plug for AK Dash. So anyway,
we appreciate it, Mr. Phillips.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to add on to what Matt said, because I mean, he was throwing out numbers and stuff there, and those are probably great numbers for Utah, but it's so important to understand that the numbers are different in every single state. There is states like Ohio where the numbers are drastically lower. There are states where the numbers are drastically higher and closer to 40, 50 cents a square foot. And it's why it's so important that you understand your numbers, because the only thing I can guarantee if you go off of a square foot price is that you're going to get really lucky on some jobs. You're going to lose a lot of money on others. And ultimately, you're going to come up behind if you don't understand your numbers.
The other thing about that is that you don't know why. Because if you don't understand your costs and you don't understand your overhead, you don't know why you didn't win it. Because it's not truly the price, really. It could be a bunch of different things in there. And it could be tweaking one thing and you would have got it. So you don't know it unless you actually understand those. Because I have guys out in Eastern Canada that are charging $1.60 a square foot. It's insane. But then you look at a guy in like Calgary or something like that, he's charging, 35. So it really comes down to where you're at, what your costs are, what your overhead is. Because I mean, if let's say Mr. McCann is a huge paving company, he's gonna have a way bigger overhead to just show up to a job than a guy like me. If it's just me and maybe one guy, it's a totally different picture. So price per square foot's great to chat about kind of casually, but it ain't really something you put on a napkin and say, yeah, this is my thing, just multiply by whatever square footage it is, because it's not like that. Hopefully that helps.
Condition of the asphalt too, right? Like if you're dealing with brand new asphalt versus 7-8-year-old pitted cored out asphalt, you're going to use a lot more material. The location of the closest sealant plant, you'll see prices in Canada. I'm Canadian, so I'm biased and I know this, but in Alberta, you can't bulk fill any kind of emulsion product out there. So if you wanted to use emulsion, coal tar specifically, I used to ship totes and totes and totes of material from Asphalt Kingdom back in the day, because it was the only way that I could get material. So, if you're in a rural area, the likelihood of you being able to charge a bit more for projects because availability of material is a little bit different. You can typically charge more. But if you're in an area where there's 4 bulk fill plants, your cost per gallon might be, in the mid 2s, maybe even lower. And if they've got a bulk buyer, somebody who's buying, like Matt, who's buying, 4,500 gallons at a time or more, they cut you some slack, right? So it all goes into pricing, and understanding your costs, at least on a material side of things, is the absolute base of things. And then however you do your labor, what do you expect to make? What type of margin do you want to apply? What will the market bear? If you're booking everything, your cost is too low. If you're not booking anything, your cost is too high. So,
hey, and in addition to that, just make sure whether you're East Coast, West Coast, or North or South, just if you know your numbers and what your profit margin, your goal for your profit margin is. My goal is 60% profit margin. And if I'm between that 50 and 70, 60%, if I'm there, it doesn't matter whether I'm 20 cents a square or 30 cents a square, I'm still at that profit margin goal, because I don't want to pay to do jobs. And that number is including your seal coat, your material, your employees, your salaries, whether it's your own salary, your fuel for your trucks, your fuel, your insurance. You need to know your numbers of what your daily cost is. And that also includes your brushes. I need to buy new squeegees. I need to buy spray tips. I
Consumables.
need to buy valves, everything. So once you get that dialed in and understand that now, especially for you new guys that are, self-starters or, one or two people, start dialing that in. I know if Skylar was on here, that's one thing that I learned from him is that he came out of the gate like, what is my actual daily cost? What do I need to do to cover that cost? And what do I need to do to make profit for that day? So those are some important things to get, guys. So if you're serious about this business, write those things down and just put in everything. So if you're running out of your home business, take your square footage of your little office that you have and put a dollar value to it and say, how much, if I was to rent this, how much would it cost me per day? So what your daily expense is. Because once you know that and you're setting your profit margin, 50, 60% or whatever the case may be, that's where you make money. That way, at the end of the season, when it comes winter time, Judd has said this over and over and over. You want to have money in your pocket at the end of the season to be able to make it through the winter and then start back up. And so anyway, that's my 2 bit. I know I might have rambled a little bit, but I just want to put that in your guys, especially new guys. Make sure you understand your costs and what you're doing. So
Don't blow every red cent every month, right? We got to stop that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. And even as a business owner, you're going to have more issues with that because what happens next spring is you need to buy supplies. You're not going to have any money. Like you need to have stuff set aside so you can actually continue your business moving as if it just started, as if you just stopped and you're just starting again. Cool. Nathan.
How many of the new guys in this group, how many of you guys use AK Dash? Like you can raise your hand. Okay.
Nick.
Dude, it's super, I'm going to shamelessly plug it because Matt was talking about percentages, but the cool thing and handy thing about AK Dash to new guys is when you calculate, they have a cost calculator. So it's like you call the paint suppliers or seal coat suppliers around you, get the average, input that in your computer, input the numbers, and then it'll tell you where your margin should be. So if it's too high, it'll be like, oh, we're aiming for 60%, but you're at 78%. You're charging too much. So AK Dash is really good for that. If you guys haven't checked it out or you're writing on napkins, business deals, it's also super cool with the printout. I just did the AI takeoff for the first time this week. Fuck yes. Hell yes. I don't have to sit at the computer and draw lines for 10 hours. You mean I pay $4 and it fucking does it for me? My time's worth a lot more than $4. So it's a great system. There's certain things that you just don't take into account. Like there's an advanced payment calculator where you can add your office, your insurance, your daily costs, like Skylar and Matt were talking about. Like you can actually input all that to see how much you are actually making. How much are you making per hour? You do a job, $700, cost you $200. Oh, I made 500. No, you have insurance, you have bills, so it really helps you categorize everything. I'm computer illiterate. Excel, that's a monkey doing math for me. I can't do it. So for simple guys that are on the run, do the AK Dash.
Awesome. I appreciate you seeing
Hey,
something.
100%. I second that. Best purchase you could make if you want to hit the ground running and really look professional. I'm telling you, I have had people, performance partners, when I send them a quote over and they're like, holy, Paul, how long have you been doing? Where did you get this from? How can we set this up? Never mind. And they just send their customer what I sent them. It's
It's
It
true.
is an amazing tool.
It's
Yeah,
true.
dude,
My
it's
my
beautiful.
recent bids have
beautiful.
been dialed in with that new system update that they did.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, not only do you get to give a company headline and it's a 9-page report. So you get a company headline, you get the about us section where you can be like, hey, we're local dingbats, whatever. But then it does like the map view,
Payment
the
terms.
line view, the
Yeah,
contract
line
term. I
items.
mean,
Yeah,
so I sent it
everything
out.
is broke down line item wise.
I
It's
think
beautiful. They can
I
see it.
honestly think because I broke it down so much is why I landed these last 3 jobs this week, because it said, 1,850 linear feet. That's what I'm charging. Here's that. Here's what I'm charging, and you get a price breakdown on everything. So it's super handy for guys that are not office. I've always been a worker. I've never ran management. Sitting at a desk, that's, you take a workhorse, put it in the stall. What does it become? Lame. I'm the same way.
So Matt mentioned something before. He said the worst job you can get is the one where you don't make money, or the one where you lose money, right? You're paying to do the job, and it just sucks. So if you can get really accurate information that the customer understands, it's compelling. It's like, yeah, hey, I'm going to be using $40 as a rubber crack filler for this project. If I go over, I'll charge you per box this much. If it's under, I'll give you some, money back off it. At least you're being very, very upfront and straightforward with the customer. They understand what you're doing. Going, yeah, man, this is all matches. If I have one number that says, hey, I'm doing your crack filling, seal coating, and line striping, and it's $1,200, well, what does that mean? There's questions, right? So,
And also on the back end for us as business owners, we don't do this to do a loss. I know my F-250s, they don't run on water. It costs me to put diesel in them. It costs me, Geico sends me a bill
Insurance.
every month for insurance on that thing. So I have to dollar cost if we're going to be good at this, and we're going to break down again. What are our goals? How many jobs do we want to hit? What is our overhead cost here to be profitable? If you don't know those things, you're going to miss the mark a lot.
love it. Well, we are at the top of the hour. If anybody has any additional questions, we'll answer 1 or 2 more at the most. But if not, anybody else got a question? Well, I've had a great time communicating with all you guys. I love seeing you guys each week. And next week, I think Judd will be back. But at the same time, saying that even if he isn't, I'll be here. And I'm sure you guys will too. I appreciate you guys all. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same place, right here on the roundtable. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Matthias.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Matt.